So the Taj Mahal is not just an architecture and not just a monument. There is a vast story behind that. That is not only the architecture, that is complete life, not only the life of the uh, Mumtaz Mahal and the Emperor Shah Jahan, many other lives also connected to that beautiful monument. So the today Sakil Wahab Chauhan is the personality who is going to show us the Taj Mahal through this webinar. Sakil Wahab Chauhan, he was Secretary General of Agra Guide Association for 6 years. And now he is Vice President to TGFI from Approved Tourist Guide Association Agra at Agra. Also, he is a spokesperson of the Tourist Guide Federation of India. He is also a theater person, also the award winner for 15 and the best guide award winner for 2015 and 2016 from Shaga. He is also a very good friend of mine and the good friend of whole tourism fraternity. So the Sakil Wahab Chauhanji, we are waiting for you and come forward, start this beautiful webinar which is on Taj Mahal. Sakil Bhai.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ajay Singh ji, Matushi Naskar ji, entire team of MOT and the webinar. And it is truly my privilege. You have provided me this opportunity to present the Taj Mahal, and coincidentally, I belong to Agra. So Taj Mahal means it is the place where I belong. And Taj Mahal is truly an amazing building, no doubt. Everyone, either the holy man like Dr. Ajay Singh ji or the profane like me, everyone praises it unanimously. And it marks the beautiful architecture over here in India, and it is basically the face of India. And Taj Mahal is indeed a marvel in architecture. It is the glory of India, well renowned for its architectural beauty around the globe, as we know all. It is peerless and gracious edifice stands on the right bank of the river Yamuna. It was constructed in 1631 by fifth Mughal Emperor Shahabuddin Muhammad Shah Jahan, and in the loving memory of his beloved wife Mumtaz Mahal, and Mumtaz Mahal. And as we all know, the Taj Mahal built by the fifth Mughal, and whose real name was Shahabuddin and childhood name was Khurram, born in 1591 at Lahore, and succeeded his father, Emperor Jahangir. We coming back to the point that, as we all know, the Taj Mahal built by the fifth Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan, whose real name was Shahabuddin and childhood name was Khurram, born in 1591 at Lahore, and succeeded his father in 1628. Taj Mahal is a mausoleum of his beloved spouse, Arjuman Bano Begum, born in 1592, was the daughter of the Asif Khan and niece of the fourth Mughal Empress Noor Jahan. She was Persian by descent, and so she was so beautiful and charming. If I say Taj Mahal is the ornamental representation of her beauty, is not wrong. When youth bloomed to her, then Prince Khurram liked her very much and wished to marry her. She was married to him, and Emperor himself gave her the title of Mumtaz Mahal, means exalted of the palaces. Though she wasn't only wife of Emperor Shah Jahan, but her feminine grace, dignity of heart, and wit proved so powerful that Shah Jahan's all affections were soon transferred to his new bride. Their impassionate love made them like inseparable, but destiny separated them within 19 years of their married life. The 17th of Zikad 1040 Hijri means in 1630 she breathed her last at Burhanpur when gave birth to the 14th child. The remains, in accordance with Eastern custom, were deposited temporarily in the garden of the Zainabad near River Tapti in Burhanpur. 6 months after Mumtaz Mahal death, her remains were transported from Burhanpur to the capital, Akbarabad or Agra, under the charge of Prince Shuja. The coffin was entered in the open area of the Taj Garden, where it remained for 6 months. A renowned architect of the time, Ustad Isa Afandi from Iran, was called and engaged to design the Taj Mahal. In the For all the exuberance exhibited in the impressive tombs and mausoleum, both the Quran and Islamic law call for courage the use of the lavish tombs and funerary monuments. The preferred mode of the burial is to inter the body wrapped in a shroud rather than placed in a coffin, with the head facing towards Mecca. Graves of this sort were often left unmarked or unidentified with simple grave markers. In the 11th and 12th centuries, Ismaili Fatimid rulers of Egypt and the Levant in 909 to 1171 AD created the earliest surviving group of mausolea in Islamic history. Taj Mahal is one of them, where many Muslim rulers left evidence of their wealth in grand tombs and mausolea. Actual name of the Taj Mahal is Roza-e Munawwara Bibi Mumtaz Mahal, which means illuminated mausoleum of the Lady Mumtaz Mahal. The property where Taj Mahal was constructed had belonged to Raja Jaisingh of Amer. Raja Jaisingh was prepared to present the property to Emperor Shah Jahan, but the emperor, anxious to proceed without the shade of doubt in the sensitive matter of his queen's last resting place, insisted on giving him exchange for other mansions or havelis. Constructions had begun in January 1632 with the foundations of the riverfront terrace. Peter Munday, a British merchant traveler, quotes that the building is begun and goes on with excessive labor and cost. Being riverfront terrace, the ground was not solid. They started digging unless found rocks. They used cedar wood to make shafts and put on the rocks. Those wooden shafts were filled with the concrete and lime mortar to construct the pillars for the foundations. Then they built arches, and above those arches, foundation wall was built. Beneath the foundation pillars, they found natural resources of water, and for same reason, it is said that the Taj Mahal is situated on wells. They created a plan to erect the grand edifice. We called it Taj Mahal. So we start from this main gate. Main gate, after entering in forecourt of the Jilokhana, in northeast end, the grand portal of red sandstone. It is a splendid structure, a building by itself having 3 stories. It rises to a height of 100 feet above the ground level and is 151 feet in width. The gate is nicely inscribed with Quranic text in black letters in a manner they do not appear any bigger at the bottom than they appear at the top. They all appear uniform in size. This writing is called calligraphy. the most highly esteemed art form in Islamic culture is calligraphy, primarily because of its significant role in transcribing the word of Allah as written in the Quran. The art of writing is called ilmul khat or khattati. According to a Chinese legend, the arts of calligraphy and paintings had the same origin in ancient times. Angularity and rhythmic vitality were the important characteristics of their art. Arabic was the script in which the Quran, the word of God, was written. Therefore, it held sacred throughout Islam and spread with it as far to the west as Spain and as far to the east as India. It was universally adopted and exercised a tremendously unifying effect in the whole Islamic world. Muslim introduced the inscriptional art in India in the end of 12th and beginning of the 13th century on their early monuments like Quwwatul Islam Mosque and Qutub Minar, etc. The artistic age which dawned in India with the accession of Emperor Akbar gave greatest impetus to the calligraphy as architectural ornament as well as the art of writing manuscripts. Expert calligraphers who came from Iran were liberally patronized by Akbar. His court historian Abul Fazl has given a faithful account of the art of writing, which in his estimation was superior to painting. For calligraphy in Taj Mahal, the calligrapher Amanat Khan Shirazi also came from Shiraz city in Iran. His signature can be seen in main mortuary chamber of the Taj Mahal, where Quranic chapter ends actually. On main gate front is the chapter of Quran known as Al-Fajr, means the dawn. Then we have different chapter of surahs of the Quran written beautifully in calligraphy everywhere in the Taj Mahal, telling us philosophy of life in this world and hereafter. After going through the main gate is a beautiful garden in Persian Chahar Bagh style. In Persian Chahar, in Persian, the Chahar is four and the Bagh is garden. Four-parted garden are described as an earthly version of the paradise promised in the Quran. Surah Rahman, the Merciful, is a chapter in Quran which describes four gardens in paradise, all with flowing waters, trees, and fruits. There are references to gates, so the gardens are enclosed by walls, and throughout these gardens are shelters and buildings, including castles, houses, and rooms that have running water. The buildings are isolated among green spaces and stretches of water because, in contrast to Judaism and Christianity, which both look forward to a heavenly Jerusalem, Islam has no city in visions of the afterlife. At Taj Mahal, the tradition was slightly altered, as in a normal Chahar Bagh layout, the tomb stands at the center of the quadrilateral garden. The best example is the Humayun tomb. And here in Taj Mahal, edifice is at the northern end overlooking the Yamuna. Garden is divided by four canals. The descriptions of the eternal garden of paradise in the Quran refers to springs, brooks, and four rivers containing water, milk, honey, and a non-intoxicating type of wine. On left in west is the mosque of the Taj Mahal. Another amazing structure in the premises of Taj Mahal. In red sandstone, decorated with white marble, semi-precious stones, and of course, lovely incise paintings. As you can see in the pictures also, incise painting, it is a beautiful combination of painting and inscribing. Basically, to do the incise painting, first of all, we have to put a layer of plaster on the surface. Once it gets dried, and then we are putting another layer of a paint. Normally, they used here ochre. In Hindi, we called it geru, but it can be any of the paint or any of the layer in any color. And then once the upper layer is also getting dried, and the artisans, they comes with the sharp chisels, and then they are stretching the upper layer in different geometrical and floral patterns. So once they stretching the panels, the first upper layer and the second, the inner layer comes out and then it is visible. So this is incise painting, not only in Taj Mahal, but before Taj Mahal, it was introduced at the Humayun tomb in Delhi. So we can say basically that Taj Mahal is the Humayun tomb is the forerunner of the Taj Mahal, the prototype of the Taj Mahal, because Emperor Shah Jahan learned a lot from the Humayun tomb to use the things, the features in Taj Mahal. And so the incise paintings are there. And of course, semi-precious stones and the lovely precious stones were also used. This mosque has a beautiful mihrab. In the center, in the picture, as you can see, mihrab is the archway. And then there is a member on the right-hand side of the arch, the pulpit. The holiest place in the mosque is mihrab. It is highly decorated and usually made of part of the mosque wall. That is the place where the imam, the main priest, is standing to lead the prayers. Today, actually, we have microphones and speakers. But in the pre-electronic times, the opening of the mihrab amplified the imam's voice so that all worshippers behind the imam could hear him well. So whatever surahs recited by the imam during the prayer, and then all the worshippers, they could hear him well because of this mihrab also. And this mihrab is facing towards Mecca, and from India, the Mecca is in west. So that is how the mosque is on the left side of the Taj Mahal. The mimbar or the pulpit is a free standing structure to the right of the mihrab. The imam or the khatib, who addressing the worshippers, stands on the lower steps, and the top one is reserved in perpetuity for the Prophet of Islam himself, as per as their belief, because this tradition was begun by Prophet Muhammad. In the beginning of the Islam, they choose a day, Friday, for the congregation, and all the Muslims, they used to assemble in the mosque, and prior to the worship or the congregation of the Friday, the Juma prayer, and then the Prophet of Islam, he used to address the people, and then he used to tell about Islam and the message of Allah, the God, and everything. And so this pulpit is called member, and it is to address the people, and this tradition is still on in Islamic world. On right in the east is an identical building of the mosque is called Jama'at Khana, means the gathering hall. It is wrongly described as Mehman Khana or the guest house, as there is no use of guest house at the burial place. This building was designed just to keep the symmetry, which is another characteristic of the Mughal building. But at the time of the Urs, the death anniversary celebration, people used to gather there prior to recitation of the Quran and other religious rites for the peace of the departed souls. So that is the reason it is Jamaat Khana, basically the assembly hall or the gathering hall. It is not a guest house as mainly it is written in many guidebooks. And now here it comes the main mausoleum. The grand mausoleum of the Taj Mahal stands on a double platform. The first one is red sandstone with white marble in floral patterns called chameli firsh or jasmine platform. 4.5 feet high above the ground, and second marble platform is 18 feet higher than the first one, and there are two staircases. At each corner of the platform stands a circular minaret, which appears to be keeping guard over the mausoleum. Each minaret possesses three galleries and a flight of 161 steps in the interior leading to the top. On the uppermost galleries are eight windows crowned with a dome. Sorry. Main mausoleum is of pure white marble, which came from Makrana in Rajasthan. It is decorated with semi-precious and precious stones inlaid. The Mughal craftsmen were masters of the art of stone inlay, also known as Parchinkari, but usually people call it Pachekari, which is corruption of Parchinkari actually. In Parchinkari, marble was carved and pieces of semi-precious and precious stones like malachite, onyx, jasper, agate, jade, lapis lazuli, carnelian, emerald, ruby, etc. were shaped in different patterns, were glued in place to form a design. Geometrical patterns, floral arabesques, and all calligraphy embellished the great Mughal tombs with astonishing complexity and profusion. The dome of the Taj Mahal is unique among all the domes built during the Mughal or the Sultanate period in India. It is a double dome for which dome makers from Turkey were engaged. The main dome maker was Ismail Khan, who came from Turkey. Taj Mahal boasts double dome, a false ceiling inside a large outer skin. This device gives the imposing volume to the outside of the dome, whilst retaining comfortable proportions in the inside, which would otherwise be cavernous. The interior of the dome consists of a central octagonal chamber. There we have cenotaphs of Mumtaz Mahal and Shah Jahan. The tomb of Arjuman Banu Begum, called Mumtaz Mahal, died in the year 1040 AH, and then there is a cenotaph you can see to the right side in the picture is the tomb of Empress Mumtaz Mahal. And this is smaller, but as you can see very carefully, the floor around the tombstone or the cenotaph of the Empress Mumtaz Mahal, there is a beautiful border carved on white marble in black, and which is overlaid by the tomb of Emperor Shah Jahan, because this tomb or the Taj Mahal was exclusively planned by Emperor Shah Jahan for her. And so that is the reason his own intention was not to be buried here in the Taj Mahal. But later on, due to the political circumstances, he had to be buried over here. So around the tombstones, look at the beautiful screen, which used to be gold. This beautiful lattice work, it used to be gold originally, actually, and it was decorated with semi-precious and precious gemstones. And but later on, soon after the Taj Mahal was completed, it was replaced by this marble screen, and because it was not good, basically due to the fear of the robbery. So that is how they replaced that gold screen with this white marble screen. And as you can see in the picture, um, right over here, that is the picture taken at the time of the death anniversary of Emperor Shah Jahan. So you can see the people are paying tribute to the late emperor and late empress, and these are known as the real tombs of Emperor Shah Jahan and Empress Mumtaz Mahal in the basement. But in fact, these are also not the original tombs, and the real tombs further down, and they are still normal tomb as it is allowed in Islam. Around the tombstone of Empress Mumtaz Mahal, the sacred 99 names of Allah are written. And they are not written, basically, they are also inlaid in black onyx on white marble. And then in front of the tombstones of the two, the Emperor Shah Jahan and Empress Mumtaz Mahal, there is a Persian writing, actually. We called it Kata Tarikh Wafat. And that is the Persian inscription. And according to the Islamic numerology, each olam or the alphabet is having a particular number. So if we are going to alphabets used in these two different inscriptions, and when we total them, so the total is basically on the tomb of Empress Mumtaz Mahal is the death of the year of her according to Islamic calendar, and on the tomb of the Emperor Shah Jahan, it is same. It says the tomb of the year of the death of Emperor Shah Jahan according to Islamic calendar. And this chamber is the place where we do have the signature of the Amanat Khan Shirazi, the calligrapher who did all this calligraphy in Taj Mahal. But unfortunately, as nowadays we are not allowed to photograph inside the main building, and that is the reason we are not able to show you. I tried my level best to find out some old pictures, but unfortunately, I couldn't find that out. Otherwise, the signature of the Amanat Khan Shirazi, the calligrapher, can be seen easily in this chamber. Once we enter the main body chamber, turn right, where the chapter of the Quran ends, and then there is the signature of him. And look at the beautiful work on the screen too. And that is the work about that we have a legend, actually, that is a myth, actually, unfortunately, that after the completion of the Taj Mahal, Emperor Shah Jahan ordered to chop their hands off, so they could not create another building like Taj Mahal for anybody else. But I'm sorry to say it is not true. Actually, this art is not from India. It is originally pietra dura from Italy and European countries, and where they were using hard stones into the hard stone. But after the Islamic conquest, it came to India, Iran, and from Iran, the artisans were engaged by Emperor Shah Jahan to come to do this beautiful inlay work. So when it came to Iran, and as we know, the Iran is very famous for its feminine style artistic work. So that is how it become more feminine, or it become more gorgeous once they started using semi-precious and precious stones into the marble or into the hard stone. And so you see these small, if you see the little orange color flower, it is lotus. And that is, yes, this one. This is the bird and this is the lotus flower. So this lotus flower is having more than 40 tiny pieces of carnelian and mother of pearl in it. So just imagine just a tiny flower having more than 40 pieces of different semi-precious and precious gemstone. So while the artisans, they were shaping them by hands. There was no technology during that time. And so they were doing all work by hands. And when they were shaping them, so because of the tiny size, not only these gemstones, but their fingertips were also in the touch of those shaper wheels. So that is the reason they were not shaping these gemstones only, but they were losing their fingertips as well. While they were making cavities into the marble, as per as these desired patterns, they were using the sharp chisels and they were holding in their hands and giving pressure through their elbow from the shoulder. And Indian marble from Makrana is basically crystallized marble. It's so hard to do this. So while they were doing so, and then they were losing their fingertips were numb and they were dishaped basically. So in this way, basically, they had some little injuries in their fingertips, but this Emperor Shah Jahan didn't order to chop their hands off. It is simply a myth. And because, as I mentioned, this art to India came from Iran. So those artisans basically were highly paid, but with a condition that you have to work for our family or whom we want, you have to work for them actually. So in this way we can say symbolically
Yes, sir.
they, so in this way basically we can say that symbolically they cut their hands, but there were no hands were cut. And because of this unsymmetrical location in the Taj Mahal of Emperor Shah Jahan's tomb, there another myth is that he wanted to build another Taj Mahal across the river in black for himself. But because later on, when Shah Jahan got sick and there was a war of inheritance among his sons, so the third son, Emperor Aurangzeb, who defeated his brothers and got the throne, and he put his father in the prison as house arrest in Agra fort. So the people says in the sorry, the people says that in this way Shah Jahan could not complete the another Taj Mahal for himself, but it is not true actually, and there is no evidence, historical evidence, basically that which says that he had any plan, or if he had any plan in his mind, that's a different thing. But normally we haven't seen anywhere about that. And the place about this it said is Mehta Bagh across the river, which was first laid down by his great great grandfather Emperor Babur, and then later on it was renovated by Emperor Shah Jahan for his elder princess Jahan Ara. And so, and it is also said by some historians, especially the Manuchi, that it is not only Emperor Shah Jahan, Empress Mumtaz Mahal, and two more wives of Emperor Shah Jahan are buried, means four-person, but also the head of the Darashiko, Prince Darashiko, is also buried in the Taj Mahal. Manuchi strongly says it actually. And so, not only three wives of Emperor Shah Jahan and himself are buried in the Taj Mahal, but the head of Darashiko is also buried because he was murdered in Delhi, and his head was brought to Agra in front of the Emperor Shah Jahan. And then it was buried in the premises of Taj Mahal, but the rest of the body of Darashiko was buried at Humayun tomb in Delhi. So his entire body is there, and the head is buried in the Taj Mahal somewhere. And Manuchi strongly is in favor of this historical fact. So I hope that you love this beautiful explanation about the Taj Mahal. And as you can see in the PPT, that is the last breath of Emperor Shah Jahan, because he was already very weak. He had many shocks, and the great shock was, as I told you, that when the chopped head of Prince Darashikoh was brought in front of him in the Agra fort, and then he could not bear that shock, and that is the reason he fell sick. And during the prison in January 1666, he breathed his last in Agra fort. And then his remains were brought to the Taj Mahal through the river Yamuna on boat, and he was also buried next to his beloved wife. And then the that was the tragic end of this beautiful love story of the two, the Emperor Shah Jahan and Empress Mumtaz Mahal. And Taj Mahal is the beautiful memory of their immortal love. So thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Sakil sir. That was a very nice presentation. Thank you, Ajay sir. We really went through a lovely journey. It's like when we see a thing with blank brain, we just see a beautiful thing. But when we see it with past history, present scenario, and the coming future details, it becomes a story. It becomes a moment. We start feeling along with seeing or visualizing the thing. So we thank you very much, Sakil sir, for taking us to a beautiful journey about the Taj Mahal.
Shakil ji,
Pleasure is mine.
Shakil ji, many things you made very clear. Shakil ji, many things you made very, and people were explaining that one as you teach. So this is also a kind of the lesson for the new generation guide, that when they explain the Taj Mahal, they can improve themselves. So otherwise, Taj Mahal is a very popular monument, and there is a large number of the the guide and other scholars.
Indeed.
So they explained the Taj Mahal, but you made many things very much clear, which was just the
It's
meat.
truly,
People were just
truly my
explaining
pleasure.
that one
Truly
as
my
you teach.
pleasure.
Yes, we have learned about it, we have read about it, we have studied about it, and today we have seen it
So
in very
we
different
were looking
details.
for this kind of the webinar over Taj Mahal. Yeah. Yes, you are
Thank you
right,
so much.
Motushinam. You are very much right. It was a brief explanation of the Taj Mahal. So it's thanks a lot, Shakilji. We will come back again to not only the
Sure.
Taj Mahal. So the whenever we will back to the Agra again, we will knock your door. So thanks, the viewer. Thanks, everyone. Thanks,
My pleasure anytime. Thank you
Shakilji,
so
for a
much.
wonderful webinar.
Thank you.
So thank you all. So stay tuned with us for the next episode for coming Saturday. Till then, be safe, put your mask when you go out, maintain social distancing, and use sanitizer whenever it is required. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks.